You ever have one of those moments where you just know someone's about to ruin your day? That was me last summer, firing up my old Weber grill in the backyard, the smell of ribs and charcoal filling the air. When Karen from the HOA stormed through my gate like she owned the place. Her voice, sharp as a tack, hit me before I even turned around. This is a violation. Tom open flames are a hazard. I'm Tom, by the way. Just a guy who moved to this cookie-cutter suburb in Ohio for a quiet life with my wife, Jen, and our dog, Rusty. Quiet. Huh. What a joke that turned out to be. Karen, real name Susan. But Karen fits better, was the self-appointed queen of our neighborhood, always clutching her clipboard like it was the Constitution. She'd been on my case since we moved in, nitpicking everything from my grass height to the unapproved color of our mailbox. But that day, with my ribs sizzling and the sun dipping low, she crossed a line. She slapped a fine on me, $200 for unauthorized outdoor cooking. I laughed it off, at first thought she was joking. She wasn't. She handed me a typed-up notice, citing some obscure HOA rule about excessive smoke. My grill barely puffed out a wisp, but Karen was on a mission. "This stops now, or I'll escalate it," she said, her eyes gleaming like she'd just won the lottery. Jen overheard and came out, wiping her hands on a dish towel, trying to play peacemaker. "Susan, let's talk this out," she said. But Karen just pointed at the grill and said, "That thing's a menace. It's gone by next week, or you're in front of the board." I could feel my blood boiling, but I just nodded, watched her strut off, and thought, oh, it's on. The next few days, I dug into the HOA rules. Turns out, they were a mess, vague clauses about nuisances and aesthetics that Karen twisted like a pretzel to suit her vendettas. She'd fined the Millers for their kids' lemonade stand, forced the Garcias to rip out their wildflower garden, and now she was coming for my BBQ. It wasn't just about the grill, it was about control. Jen and I talked it over at dinner, her tossing out ideas like moving the grill to the garage. But I wasn't having it. If she wants smoke, I said, half joking, I'll give her smoke. That's when the idea hit me: a smokehouse. Not some dinky backyard smoker, but a full-on, in-your-face, wooden brick beast that'd make her head spin. The HOA rules didn't ban structures under 200 square feet, and I'd checked my lot had just enough space to skirt the setback requirements. I wasn't breaking any rules, but I was going to make a point. Jen raised an eyebrow, half laughing. "You're nuts, Tom." But I'm in. So, I got to work. I spent weeks planning it out, sneaking calls to contractors during lunch breaks at my IT job. I found a local guy, Mike, who was all in for the chaos. "You're sticking it to the HOA." "I'm your man," he said, grinning. We designed a smokehouse 10 by 15 feet, cedar planks, brick base, a chimney that'd puff like a freight train. I even got a permit from the city, just to cover my bases. Karen couldn't touch me if I played by the book. The build took a month, every nail driven with a little extra spite. Neighbors started noticing old Mr. Jenkins from across the street gave me a thumbs up, whispering, "Give her hell, kid." But Karen, she didn't catch wind until the day we fired it up. I'd invited half the block for a test run. Ribs, brisket, the works. The smell was unreal, like a Texas barbecue joint had crash-landed in Ohio. I painted a sign on the smokehouse in red spray paint, "BBQ forever." Childish, maybe, Satisfying hell? Yeah, that's when the storm hit. Karen showed up, her SUV screeching to a stop in front of my house. She marched across my lawn, clipboard in hand, face redder than the sauce on my ribs. "What is this?" she shrieked, pointing at the smokehouse like it was a war crime. I leaned against the doorframe, casual as could be, and said, "It's a smokehouse. Susan. Perfectly legal. Want a rib. The crowd neighbors. Friends." Even Mike the contractor snickered. Karen's eyes narrowed, and she started flipping through her rulebook, muttering about excessive structures and community standards. Then came the twist. She pulled out her phone and called the fire department, claiming my smokehouse was a public safety hazard. I hadn't seen that coming. My stomach dropped. Had I missed something? Was this about to backfire? The fire truck rolled up 20 minutes later, sirens blaring, and Karen stood there smirking like she'd won. But Mike, cool as a cucumber, handed the chief the city permit and my plans. The chief, a guy who looked like he'd smoked a brisket or two himself, glanced at the smokehouse, then at Karen. "Ma'am, this is legal, and it smells damn good." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Karen's face went from red to purple. She stormed off, muttering about lawyers, but I knew she had nothing. The fallout was sweet. Word spread, and the neighborhood started pushing back. The Millers reopened their kids' lemonade stand, and the Garcias replanted their wildflowers. Karen's reign of terror was crumbling. My smokehouse became the talk of the town. People stopped by just to snap pictures with the BBQ Forever sign. Jen and I hosted cookouts every weekend, and even the HOA board, sick of Karen's drama, started ignoring her complaints. Last I heard, she was trying to sell her house. But nobody's buying. Guess the smell of freedom's too strong. Looking back, it wasn't just about the ribs or the smokehouse. It was about standing up to someone who thought they could bully everyone into submission. Sometimes, you gotta fight petty with petty. So, what do you think? Did I go too far? Or was Karen asking for it? Let me know, 'cause I'm curious where you stand. The end.